Plus 15 years, quite good. That's what I actually thought.
It says on the front page that it's
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Just trying to, you know, I do think. Maybe they were adding that, so that.
That's the matrix for the decision.
In item. Right. We're on what? We're live, people. We're on air. On air. Now my hari mai in the Hui o Te Kāwhia, Hui o Kāwhia. Meeting is open and I welcome you all here to the Kāwhia Community Board meeting. I'd like to call on Councillor Jeffries to say that elections, the opening fair of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kia kia ora to Marino, kia whakapapa tau ngānau ki Moana, hei huarahi mā tātou I tā rangi nei, auraha atu, auraha mai, tatu kato. Kua e taki. May peace be widespread, may the sea be like greenstone, a pathway for us all this day. Let us show respect for each other, for one another, and bind us all together.
Do we have any apologies? We're all here. There are no public forum speakers today, but we have a good public. Do you want us to speak up?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. It was a bit noisy. There's no public forum speakers today. No? There are no late items. Declarations of interest. Does anyone have a declaration of interest relating to any of the matters that are on the agenda? No. Okay. Moving straight on then to page 18, the agenda, which is a decision report and not yet. Oh, confirmation. There now. I crossed it off before I did it. We just have the confirmation of the April 7 minutes. Move Councillor Jeffrey, second up. Second up.
One item. Right? Yep.
No, just second up. All those in favour? No, please carry. Matters?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, from page 12, under the heading Public Forum, second paragraph makes reference to EV charging stations. I just wanted to bring you up to date with that. I've received letters of support for an EV charging station in Kāwhia from both Barbara Courager and the Waikato Regional Council Chairman. Meridian are of the opinion that insufficient traffic movements in and out of Kāwhia would not support its business model. And I've had no response from ChargeNet and none expected from them either. So I understand that the local business person is still pursuing the possibility of installing a charging station, but that would be at his cost. And as far as I'm concerned, I think I've gone about as far as I can go. So that's about all I can tell you at this stage.
Yeah, now I'm through me. I'd just like to thank you for your efforts that you put into that. I thought we'd have some resolution there, but it's quite surprising that we didn't. So thank you, Councillor Jeffries. Any other anything? Right, now we move on to the decision report, which is page 18 on the agenda, and presenting that is Graham Bunn, not Kerry Downs.
Thanks, Chair. So, yeah, firstly, apologies. Kerry's away for a couple of weeks, so I've drawn a short straw to present her report today. So, what I'll do is I'll just go through and just summarise the key points, and then I'll just open it up to questions. So. The report before you is basically to review the older persons housing policy and then make some recommendations to the council. The board's providing input only, but so the policy is just a draft. So you know, any changes or any recommendations that you want to make to the policy will include in the recommendation, and that will go before council. It's due to go to Otahuanga Community Board on Monday, and it will go to council on the 30th of June. So the last time that this policy was reviewed was in 2023, so it's become outdated. Council undertook to contract Veros to do a review of our older persons housing. So that review included a review of the delivery of the service, but it also included an asset condition assessment, and there were a number of recommendations that came out of that report, that Veros report. This was workshopped with council, and I think some members of the board were present in that workshop when Veros presented their report. So currently, the current status is that we have 28 pension units in total, including 6 in Kāwhia. The older persons housing activity is a combined activity with Otahuanga and Kāwhia. Years ago, we used to have separate activities, so it's combined into one. So all the costs and income go into one account. It's self-funded. There's no rates input that goes into that account, and it retains a balance in the account. So any money that's unspent at the end of the year just stays in that account. It's not cycled off anywhere, and it comes forward as an open balance the following year. Overall, at the moment, rentals are currently set at 61% of the market, with Kāwhia rentals currently set at 57% of the market. And when you'll see in the body of Kerry's report that the market assessment is different for Kāwhia and for Otahuanga. So when they do that market assessment, it's not just a national assessment; it's actually localised to particular areas. And there's good information online on what market rentals are. So the proposed changes. Firstly, was to clarify council's role as a affordable housing provider. There were some recommendations in the Veros report that this potentially could be outsourced. the direction that we got from the workshop is that they wanted to keep that in-house. So in terms of council staff, we had obviously engineering staff in terms of asset maintenance and bits and pieces. Kerry spends a considerable amount of time there, just I guess from a social point of view, but you know, helping them with everything from sorting your phones to to all sorts of stuff. So it is a bit of a drain on staff, but we're managing that at the moment. There is certainly a risk there with council staff providing. We're not professional providers in that sort of area, and so if there was to be a medical incident or anything like that, you know, we're not obviously skilled in that area. Yeah, so the other proposed changes were to increase the eligibility age from 60 to 65, with a little bit of flexibility there for the chief executive's discretion. Currently, we don't have anybody under 65 in any of those groups. So. And it was to link rentals to a market benchmark, and so you'll see a recommendation of the policy to gradually increase to 80%. So it's something that the board may want to consider that's not appropriate, or you want a lower percentage of market, or want to move it over a longer period of time, and we can include that in the recommendation if we see fit. It was at a point where Veros had sort of done quite a little bit of work around where other councils sat, and so that was like the middle ground. You would have seen in the news lately that some councils had tried to increase pensioner rents to 100% of market, and got sort of amount of backlash around that. So it's only been reviewed probably once in the last 6 years. We reviewed the rentals 3 years ago, and they hadn't had any increase for some time before that. And we've updated income and asset thresholds to target need. And so one of the major changes there is that to qualify, you need to qualify for the accommodation supplement. When we did the last review in 2023, there were a number that qualified for the accommodation supplement but hadn't applied for it. And so we spent a considerable amount of time with family and with WINS. And so we've only got there's probably only a couple current tenants now that I don't think there's any in Kāwhia that don't qualify for the accommodation supplement. And that's I guess an important aspect when we look at increasing rentals, because the accommodation supplement increases as any rentals increase, and so it takes up a lot of the rental increase, not all of it, but a big chunk of it. And so we would still probably do rent reviews every 3 years in line with the LTP, but it's more just sort of a check-in. So the impact on tenants, as I said before, most tenants are eligible for the accommodation supplement. And council would, you know, any increase in rent that we're proposing, council would work directly with tenants and with WINS, you know, to get an understanding of where they're at, and you know, any assistance that they need. And we've got to give 60 days notice as the tenancy agreement to increase rentals. So just the financial impact, you know, there's obviously two sides to it. I mean, higher rents never go down well, but yeah, we're running an account where the account has to be sustainable as well. So any future upgrades or refurbs or anything to do with those pension units have to come out of that revenue. There's no rates input that goes into it. So you know, would allow us to do some more work there. So there's two options. Option one, you know, which is update the policy, which is recommended. So that just improves sustainability. And option two, which with no change, and that this just limits upgrades and the future viability. Recommended position, support updating the policy, and then that balances affordability, tenant support, and long-term sustainability. So I think I've taken any questions, but, you know, we can, you know, certainly it's just the policy is just is draft. So any recommendations that you want to make, it's fine, mate. You know, it's just, we'll take that back. We do need to be, I think we need to be consistent with what they do in Oklahoma. You know, it's, because it's one account. Otherwise, you know, you would have a situation where if you decided to go with a different percentage of market, because the market assessments are different for Kāwhia and Oklahoma, then you would have one lot of pensioners subsidising the other. You know, so it's not like it's being subsidised with rates or anything. So it's just a consideration. So yeah, open to questions or comments or.
Oh, just before I open the floor to the questions, I was remiss in not welcoming our esteemed mayor for the meeting. Good to have you here. And of course, our board member in waiting, Joe Butcher down there, and of course, Tanya, who was the reason I remembered I hadn't welcomed the other two. So I welcome on board our three esteemed visitors. Yes. Questions from the board?
Well, I can offer one or two. On page 19 of the report, or of the agenda, I should say, under 5.1, talks about the central tenet of the policies that council's housing investment will continue to self-fund without any rates input. And I just wondered what the committee or the board thought about that. And I'm just wondering, to me, that the policy doesn't, for any number of reasons, doesn't recognise the social benefit to the district communities of retaining its elderly people locally. And perhaps there should be some rating input from the district. And I'll just open it up for discussion. So that was the first one I wanted to raise. The second one, Graham, I wonder if you could just clarify for me the table on top of page 20, where you have market versus current rentals. You're saying there that Kāwhia, one bedroom, the market rental, according to this report, should be $315 a week.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you sort of, that's what I sort of say with the market, it's different. So if you look at the top of that table, where you have a one bedroom in Oklahoma, the market is $360. Yeah. Yeah, compared to $315 in Kāwhia.
Can I just make the point, and I think it's a valid one, is that it could be argued that the costs to the residents in Kāwhia in those counties are probably a little higher than they would be if you were in Oklahoma, simply because of access to services and you know, Woolworths, say Woolworths and places where you can buy stuff. We're sort of very limited here, and of course travelling out of town too is a cost that they need to face where the Oklahoma people not necessarily have to. So perhaps that's already been recognised at the level of the market rent. I don't know. We were talking about the very top one, Windsor Court, one bedroom, $360, whereas one bedroom in Kāwhia is $315. So there's a $45 difference there already. I'm not sure. Is that just an historic difference, or is that deliberate?
Well, no, that's the market assessment. That's the assessment of the market. You know, so that's from market data. You know, and so yeah, that's where Veros they would have drawn that information, and there's numerous places now where that market data can be drawn from.
If you want to, sorry, may I speak through you, Jim? If you want to know market rents, the tendency for local tenancy board has all the market rents. You just put in your address, that tells you what the market rates are in the area.
Okay,
The ten-
what's the name of it, sorry?
You know, the tenancy government that you have. to
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
The tenancy agreements through the government website.
no, thanks for that. Now I've lost my train of thought, thanks, Joe. Yeah, so just going to the table on the top of page 21, where you're talking about the incremental increases going up 70% year one, 75% and then up to 80. I guess you're capping at this stage at 80, 232. And just to be clear, Graham, which of those three lines is actually relevant to Kāwhia? Is that the EP studio or the WC studio?
Yeah, I guess it's what Kerry's done here. She's pulled that from the wind starter, you know, and so it doesn't relate to a specific location. It just relates to the accommodation supplement on a particular type of bedroom room, or so it wouldn't really matter where it is. So it's basically just saying that it's just sort of showing that as the rentals increase, the accommodation supplement increases too, but it's variable because of it. It's the accommodation supplement is dependent on assets and income, and she's just tried to kind of put some context around that the accommodation supplement partly subsidises any increase in rental, but you know we have to look at that on a case by case basis, and I know the table is quite confusing to read too, because I mean there's so many different scenarios that you look at. Yeah.
So in the blue column, you're talking about the average increase from current rent. That's $6. Is that the net increase after taking into account the accommodation supplement?
Yeah,
it is.
It's the increase in accommodation supplement.
Oh, that's the increase in the accommodations. Okay. So have we got? I probably missed it. Is there somewhere in here that tells us what the actual increase for each resident is, or the residents are, over that 3-year period?
Yeah, that's on the second table on page 20. Yeah, so it shows the 70%, 75% and 80%, but that's the full rental. That's the full rental increase, which is then offset by the accommodation supplement increase.
If I'm reading, sorry, if I'm reading to the answer to the question, the way I read that is that there's a proposal to have a $41 a week rent increase on the Kāwhia units, and $6 of that would be paid for by increased accommodation.
Yeah.
So the net effect will be a $35 a week increase.
So $70 or say $70 a fortnight on an income of
Like $75,
$600.
Yeah. Single, but all single. I think.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I sort of said at the start, Mr. Chair. So I mean, this is just the starting point. You may say, Councillor Jeffries, that you only want to go to 65% of market to start, you know, and then gradually increase from there. It was just to kind of give you a guidance in terms of what the impact would be. I think it's probably better to link to market than to link to CPI. You know, if you link to CPI, then there's different drivers. You know, you may have years where the market rentals don't increase at all, but CPI, you know, may increase dramatically. For example, you know, driven by fuel prices at the moment. You know, you may see a big increase in CPI that may not have an impact on market rents.
We're looking at a fairly significant increase now to get it up to market rents, aren't we?
Yeah,
23%.
yeah. I mean, that was just a recommendation from Veris, Mr. Chair. But I mean, you know, I mean, it's up to the board in terms of what they recommend. Yeah, we're making a surplus now in the account, but it's a very small surplus. You know, so as you said before, Councillor Jeffries, if you either put some general rates input in, which we would need to do as part of the LTP process, as part of the revenue financing policy, that's a change. So we wouldn't be able to implement that until 1 July 2027. But we can put that up as an option.
So you're not actually looking for recommendation
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
Today.
yeah. It's a recommendation from the board to council, you know, so, yeah, so if you want to, if you think that those increases are too high, or you don't want to go to 80% of market, you may want to go to say 70% of market over 4 years or 5 years, and that's fine, you know.
Any further questions, councillor Jeffries?
Just one, and
You just might answer a heap of ours before we get to things.
on page 21, under that last table, where you've got the financial eligibility threshold, I couldn't quite, and perhaps it's just the way my brain works at times, but in the second column it says individuals less than New Zealand superannuation amount plus 10%. I couldn't quite work out what that meant. What do you mean by that?
That's the income threshold. So you take the amount of national super plus 10%. That's the income threshold.
Okay, so less shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So cross out less. I can understand.
Okay.
I think what Kerry's done, she's got hold of every pension housing policy that she possibly find, and sort of taken bits and pieces out of them. Yeah.
So do you understand that, board members? On page 21, financial eligibility thresholds, take out that less than.
I think
the
there's
threshold
a
super plus 10.
yeah there's a
Take out where it says less than. So the threshold is New Zealand superannuation plus 10.
there's an element of flexibility here too. It's like, you know, someone's, you know, we've got discretion, and it says that, I think, through the chief executive, if you know, we don't want someone coming in that's got, you know, owns 3 houses on the beach, kind of thing, you know. So it's just a sort of it's just a guideline, really.
Are there checks and balances in place for that? Do they get audited? See if they own anything?
Yeah, no, we don't. When they fill out the application, they have to state what their assets are.
But does anyone check with if they say, oh, I've got no houses? If I don't own property, does anyone?
It possibly hasn't been checked well in the past, but you know, certainly, you know, now we have a good look.
Yeah.
Could that be taken as some sort of a declaration?
Yeah. They follow. They think it is a declaration.
Yeah, declaration. And the last one I have, Mr. Chairman, just a comment also. Graham, on bottom of page 21, 6.2, the last sentence, it talks about prior to any future rent increase, blah, 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 council staff will speak with each tenant. So obviously that's still to happen.
Yeah, we do. And like I think we when we had the big increase in 2023, we learnt a lot from that. You know, and I think you know, there was certainly you know, some people have family or son or daughter, and that can help them. Some were really struggling, but quite confused with it, and so I think, you know, we need to kind of wrap some support around that, so there's an understanding and getting through. You know, so like at the end of the day, we're not. This is not to try and, you know, make things difficult for people. You know, it's to try and just put something in that's realistic. You know, link the market.
I think it's a very good report, and thank Kerry for us on that, and obviously yourself too.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, we've tried to kind of initially we were just going to come to the board with just like what the potential increase would look like, but I think by wrapping it into a policy and then kind of getting some direction of what percentage of market we think we should move to, over what period, then we can build that into the policy, and then you know, we can say come back to council every year to kind of reset rentals.
All right. Well, thank you, Graham, for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to speak. Yeah, so I think probably from my perspective, it's I think an increase of some sort is warranted.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how much and how that's going to be funded from where I sit, and whether there should be any rate input into that.
Yeah.
So
From my understanding, you're not allowed to have rating input into them.
Like we would have to go through, we would have to review that as part of our revenue financing policy, but that wouldn't be able to be done until 1 July 2027 when we review our long-term plan.
Any other questions? Just a
Just a couple. As with Kit, excellent report. I can remember in 23 when this was all and all,
Yeah.
all the hassles that went on.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my question is that we can never be sure of what MSD will give or take away.
Yeah.
And my other point is that market rental, and you know, I'm not going to can't go into that. That's I don't really understand how they come to market rental, but $315 for a 1-bedroom room in Kāwhia, I'm not aware of anyone paying that sort of money in existence. So that's my query about market rental.
Yeah, sure.
Does it actually apply? Kit has said a position of him. I would like to say that my position is I don't want to see any increase. Look, I think this is the wrong time, and I know the council and it just putting it off. Well, maybe it'll be good if we put it off for 2 years because then I won't have to worry about it. Someone else will, and I'll be quite honest about that. But I just don't think that this is the right time to be putting up the rents in Kāwhia. And that's my position on it. So, and I query the market rental, but I can't do much about that.
Thank you. Any other questions? No more questions? Very good. Thank you. So thank you. That's why Kit, he answered. He asked a lot of my questions, so I thought I'd say but could you give us a brief history on just how the council ended up with?
Yeah. It goes right back to the 1960s. Yeah. The government at the time had an initiative. You're probably working in council at the stage, but around putting in housing for older people, and so there was obviously a certain amount of funding went into that. Government subsidy that went into that. A lot of councils have divested themselves of have sold them off, to private enterprise. Some have kept them. Some have done. It was interesting, with working with Euros when they did the review. Some have kept the housing stock and then just contracted out the service to somebody different to run it. Some have sold the housing stock. Some have kind of done a mixture. We got 20 years ago. It would have been 450,000, I think, to upgrade those pension units. And it was an old kind of housing called suspensory loan that I think's got a couple of years to run. If it runs its term, we don't have to repay it. So, but they haven't had a lot of money spent on them. And like what we tend to do is when someone moves out, we do a bit of a refresh then, give it a lick of paint and clean them up. But they're old, and they do need some work.
So they could be up to 60 years old.
Yeah.
Any idea of the level of subsidies as a percentage basis from 60 years ago? Was it 50%?
Oh, I'm not sure what it was. Yeah, most councils around the country put them in, so it would have been substantial.
So they were interest-free,
Yeah.
interest-free loans.
Interest-free loans. Yeah. So realistically, it hasn't cost the councils around New Zealand an awful lot.
No,
It's just age that's catching up.
Yeah, it's just really for us. I mean, it's just start time, And we did a bit of an exercise there a few weeks ago, in terms of, and there is quite a bit of start time that goes in it, and it's not just curious time, but Hano and Dom, doing maintenance work and things around here,
To keep them fit.
So, yeah.
So, just picking up on Councillor Jeffrey said, yes, I think the cost to bring them in line with something in a drawing, I think is a really sensible idea. It's given the extra costs of residing in Kāwhia, you know. In Oklahoma, you can walk to the doctors, you can walk to the doctors here, you know what I mean? You can walk to your specialist, you can walk to your X-ray, your chemist, and walk to your supermarket. You can get around a lot easier and for a lot less dollars, you know, in Kāwhia. You can own a vehicle in Kāwhia, but it costs you 20 to 25% more to run it, and that's not just including petrol, that's an awful lot. So I'm comfortable if there's an imbalance between what you're collecting but my view at the moment is that I agree with Councillor
Board member Harper.
Think big.
He's trying to demote you.
We just need to be aware of the current situation, you know, and for someone that's earning $575 a week, and they might get an extra $6 a week for an accommodation benefit, you know, and to whack the rates up by 41, you know, they rent up by $41 a week, they still have to find $35 a week. You know?
I think, yeah, like I guess this report sort of come out of the Veros report. You know, we were sitting, you know, and they looked at a number of councils around the country, and we were sitting. I think the average was around 70% of the market. You know, so it was just. And one of the recommendations that come out of that report was that we slowly moved to a higher percentage of the market than what we were currently charging. But
so we've got a significant recommendation here to pass on to the ones that are happy to be called councillors.
Yeah. Maybe if we start, if we're happy with everything else that's in the policy, and then we can include the recommendation around the increase in rentals. As a separate.
I'm really uncomfortable with a $41 a week increase. You know, that's $2,000 a year. And I'd struggle. You'd struggle to find a board member Harper, wouldn't you? No, most of us are in this table. And to have someone that's on a fixed income here, and you know, and now you know $40 a week will get them in to see their whānau and bloody wherever. And we take $35 to $40 a week off them now, and that's another little life's pleasure that's taken off. And really, I don't want to be the person that does that. But in saying that, I understand as a landlord that you do need to have some sort of rent increases sliding through. In my rental history, I would never bloody whack a 23% rent increase on anyone. But I'd certainly, you know, I'd give a rent increase every year, even if it was just $5, $10, CPI or something. Okay, so to start the ball rolling, I think that maybe the board should recommend maybe moving 57% to say 60% this year, and then next year. Don't wait 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't wait 3 years, and I don't know if you can do that with the OTRO.
Yeah, no, we can do it. I mean, that was the whole idea. I mean, of putting in the policy.
Yeah, because I do want to say I appreciate the opportunity that the board's got to really get into this. You know? It wasn't given at the last one, and I appreciate the opportunity right now. So to start the ball rolling, I suggest that we move. I recommend that we recommend to the district council that we move it to say 3%, move it up to 60% this year, but then it's tied either to a percentage increase next year or CPI.
Okay.
How does the board feel about that?
What will the 60% increase mean this year?
Extra 3%, so about it'd be $5 to $6. Be about $5 or $6 a week.
Extra at the moment, 5 or 6, not the 20.
Not 23%, no.
So for you, Mr. Chair, does that mean it's a phased increase? So it's just gradual?
Just gradual, yeah. 23% is a huge jump, you know, and taking $40 a week out of an 80, you know, out of someone that only earns 575.
Yeah.
I think that works out about 38% of their income will be going on rent.
Yeah. So I think if you make the recommendation to say 60%, so that'd be effective from the next increase, but it would be good to kind of have an indication of what percentage of market you would like to get to, and how long you want to take to get to that, and then we can phase that into policy.
I can understand where you're coming from, you prefer it to be linked to market value.
Yeah, it's just,
rather than
it's just,
thinking-
yeah, it's probably it's probably more relevant, but I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't, even if it's CPI, it doesn't matter, it's still gonna move that, move it closer to market anyway, so.
Small,
Yeah.
small steps don't hurt as much as one big one.
Yeah, just a point of clarification too, Mr. Chairman. In year 2, is that increase that's recommended in year 2, is that percentage on the current rental, or is it based on the rental plus the 70% in the
Yeah,
first?
it's percentage of market.
So if the market drops,
Yeah, the market drop in, yeah.
Okay.
Could I also say through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm particularly concerned about the current limited accessibility to the footpath in the Kaumātua area. There isn't any. So if we want an increase, if they want an increase, where's the infrastructure for the footpathing for Kaumātua?
we have discussed this as a board and I've said that I'd have a look at the roading, the footpath budget.
Yeah.
I've had a look at where it's needed, and it is needed. There's no footpaths outside the
Yeah,
Kaumātua. And they got nowhere to put their walkers except in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's something that's, yes, it's on our list of things to do. That's for certain. Okay?
Yeah.
But they won't have to pay for that at their rent.
No,
I
no.
hope so.
No, they won't.
They'll come out of the road budget.
No, but that's well up there on our list. Okay?
Do you want to, it's only a suggestion, but did you want to suggest, as part of the recommendation, that council consider some form of rating input into that account as well?
We're not allowed to do that. The way
We know,
we can't be everybody.
You can do, but I mean, so it's important, we can't do anything until we
Yeah.
do the long-term plan, but I mean, we can, when we review that revenue and financing policy, we go through every activity. So there's an opportunity to review. So, yeah.
Well, how about we start the ball rolling then by having a recommendation that it moves to 60% of market rents this year, and we don't wait for a 3-year review, that the board will review it annually.
Okay.
And if that means moving it to 62.5,
Yeah.
65 or something,
Yeah.
at least it gives you and Kerry something to work on.
Yeah.
It gives some
yeah.
features of sincerity. It gives them a limit. It gives us a cap. It's not going to be 23%.
Through each year, can I just clarify, so in the policy it is proposed that there are annual reviews?
Oh, good, is it?
Yeah, we can do it. We can do it annually. I mean, I guess the whole idea was that we didn't want to have to keep coming back to the board, so, we're good to kind of get an indication.
I understand that. If we've got some direction to ourselves and we've given ourselves a
Yeah,
direction,
yeah, that's it.
look at next
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Okay, well, what's the process here?
Jeff, I'd just like to make the point again, I hear what you're all saying, but I'd just like to make the point again that I don't know where $315 fits as a market rental for 1-bedroom place in Kāwhia. So we're now using that as a footprint, and I'm not sure how accurate that footprint is.
But we've limited the damage of that.
Yeah, I realise I can't change it, but I do want to, any increase at all at this time is going to be hard for everyone. And it's, we've got fuel, we've got all sorts. My opinion, my feeling is that I'd like this to be put in abeyance for a year. 2 years was being a bit cheeky trying to avoid the hard thing, but I think this needs to be in abeyance for a year or so because things are just too hard. That's my view.
Respect you, and I'm in that camp, but I'm also in the camp of we've got to be realistic about
the movement.
And if they've got an $8 a week coming out of the MSD support, okay, this will have minimal impact. It's only a 3% increase, which is.
Can I give you a little bit of an issue? Like I live solely on my pension, and I know this is all live streamed and all the rest of it, but this is my pay week. So towards the end of this week, I buy milk and put it in my freezer so that I've got milk for next week, because that's not a pay week. And I suggest that I'm probably much better off than a lot of other people. So I really hope you think very hard about putting up any reeds.
My proposal, our proposal, if it is, we'll put it up around about $6. And bear in mind, it's still $180 a week for accommodation. I've got people in Aotea paying more than that for a one-room garage. So it's not so much about the market.
Bloody landlords.
Your kids are one, okay? Okay, so
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's not easy.
it's not easy, but
It's not an easy
it's
discussion.
not easy to keep a house and stop running either.
He's always had a bit of capital, so it's fine.
So what do we move here? What do we recommend here?
For you, Mr. Chair, can you explain, so increments, so 1 year, it's gone, going up $6.
At the moment, it's using market value as the indicator. It's sitting at 50%, the rents they're paying is sitting at 57% of market value. Okay? Now, my recommendation to the board to yay or nay on is to move that to 60% of market value. So it'll move their market value up 3%, which will be nearly $6 a week. It'll move up. Okay? And then next year, as Tony pointed out, it's on annual review anyway. That's a proposal. We can review it again next year. Okay, and I appreciate that. It'll be quicker next year. Right?
Yeah, we won't have to review the whole policy
No.
again, so it'll just be.
It'll just be how much you'll put up. And keep these documents. So do you understand that?
So it's gonna go up more than $6 after the first
Not
year.
necessarily.
Not
It's under
necessarily.
review.
Under
review. It's under review because, as board member Hart points out, I'm not too sure about that 315, but that's not our
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
point at the moment.
I think that the important thing is to keep increasing slightly increments.
Little bites.
You know, because it's if you don't increase it at all, that's when you end up having to have a big hit. So,
Yeah.
and that's the mistake we've made. in the past.
Because they were in for a $40 a week increase.
I can remember
Remember, it's still
the
got
issue
vapor.
in 23, Jeff. It was very tough. What was the young lady's name? That was doing it all. She was running between people trying to get, chatting with MSD and trying to chat with this. And I think they'd have a deal with MSD and then it was gone. So there's all that sort of stuff going on. I just don't know whether we can rely on MSD one way or the other, but.
And we're not though. We're relying on our,
Yeah,
and because that still has to go before the local council. But we have to put something through. So we at the moment we've got two options, which is pass the recommendation or not pass the recommendation. So not passing the recommendation is what you're suggesting, okay, but is that realistic? We still have to have some sort of, it has to be, otherwise we'll get caught in a trap when it reaches the point where they just have to increase it, which is notice of us. Right. Anything further? No? What's the wording I need to have for this?
So what I've got fire is under A. So you'd have the recommendation there, been taken into account following measures. ACB, then moving Kāwhia rents to 60% of market and annual review 0.
I'll move that. Do I have a seconder? No seconder? Seconder?
Yeah.
No seconder. All those in favour? No? Okay, it's okay. It's okay to say no.
Yeah, we know that.
Okay.
Sitting with, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a lot to take in. Like, we're talking about, people's livelihood.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
But now we're at voting stage.
yeah, I'm
So
just saying to you, if we know what we can do.
all those in favour?
Right,
Against? Carried. One. Yeah. You want your vote recorded?
Would be nice to see this some.
No, that's fine.
And I just want to make it clear, this is an excellent report, you know, and the work gone into it. But, it's just, I just don't think it's the right time.
No. No. Passed by majority. And board member Hartwell does wish his vote. There's no vote for the report. Thank you, board members, for that. Okay? And I thank you all for reading it. Right? And obviously all of you have. So I really appreciate that.
yeah, thanks, buddy.
And thank you, Graham, and thank you, Kerry.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a lot of work gone into that, I know. All right, moving on. Oh, hang on, go to your agenda, page 33. You've all got a hard copy in front of you, Aaron? So that, now that the notice of motions wasn't on the agenda, so it's not on your front page, okay? So there's two notice of motions. One's from me regarding the rubbish, and the other one is from Councillor Jeffries regarding an update for buses, and the public will be excluded for that report from Councillor Jeffries. Okay, so moving on to, you're all on page 33. The notice of motion, and the way we do the notice of motion is someone will move their motion and we'll ask for a seconder. If there's no seconder, the motion fails and we move on. If there is a seconder, then the motion goes to debate. If you've got any amendments, that's the time to throw amendment in. If you can't find a seconder for your amendment, it goes back to the original motion. Move on that. So my motion is, and I know we'll have a discussion about this, it's about the, I can speak to it when I get this, so I'll just see if I've got a seconder for this first, okay? So Chairperson Jeff Good proposes the following recommendation for the board's consideration. Kāwhia Community Board requests that refuge and recycling collection days for Kāwhia and Aotea remain on Monday, including when Monday is a public holiday. And I'll move that. Do I have a seconder?
Yep, I'll second that.
Seconder, Richard Harper. Okay. Is there any discussion? Any points that anyone wants to raise?
Well,
Because it can sit here and it just moves straight to council. Council will make a decision, or we can have a discussion.
Well, I just wanted to say that I have been around trying to get people's views on this here. And I haven't met anyone that's in favour of the change of the date. And the issues remain the same, you know, about the people leaving town, leaving refuse out on the street and all the rest of it, and then who's going to clean it up or whatever else. So all those issues remain the same for me. So that's why I've seconded the motion, because I think that there is a pretty sweeping bit of public opinion out there that don't want it changed. So it's.
Any other input?
Mr. Chair, I thought I had read somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, that if the public holiday is on a Monday, it gets changed to the Wednesday?
Correct, that's what this motion's about.
Okay,
It's to leave it as it is.
yeah,
So currently we have Monday collections regardless of whether it's a public holiday or not. The new contractor will be moving statutory holiday Monday collections to a Wednesday. They won't be collecting on Monday, on a statutory Monday, which we all know what happens. It's the rubbish around the street. So we're suggesting to Otaronga District Council they reconsider the contract. I understand there's some sort of savings, but I'll let the rest of the board talk and ask me questions. Okay, so is there anything else?
well, I'm just thinking, like, it's a public holiday. I like to have a holiday on a public holiday. I'm just thinking of the kaimahi, the workers. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like this.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
so I know it's always worked for a Monday, you know, for past years. But I'm thinking, is it time to give these guys, because they work hard, you know, collecting rubbish isn't easy. They may want a public holiday off as well.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I have done a little bit of homework on this, find out why it changed. Okay? And regardless of what happens, if they don't collect anything on the Monday, then they have to collect it on the Saturday. They have to change their whole week. They just can't collect it on the Tuesday or the Wednesday or whatever. Right? So, Enviro Waste, they would rather their guys not work on a Saturday. Right? And that's what they'd have to do if they didn't work, if they took the public holiday off. They would rather their guys had a weekend off rather than have Monday off and work the following weekend. They're not too interested, that costs them extra money to pick it up on Monday. So, and their staff have requested that usually, that they'd rather work on Monday and have all statutory holidays. We're only talking about in between. There's only 6 to 8 Mondays that are public holidays.
6 to 8.
6 to 8. Yeah. So on average,
That's a lot.
yeah.
That's
But
quite a lot.
understand that.
I like to have my days off, even though I'm
whatever.
saying, like, you know, I'm thinking of the kaimahi for workers.
Well,
I'm kind of sitting like this, Jeff.
I've talked to someone and they're quite happy working on Saturday. They would get time and a half and a day at Luke. Where if they
Oh.
didn't work on a statutory holiday, they'd have to work on a Saturday and they'd only get time and a half.
Yeah,
They have the choice.
So they do have a choice.
Well, yeah, you know, to work on Saturday. No one does. Everyone has the choice.
I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No one's forced to. Never in your contract.
so for you, Mr. Chairman, so it's still going to operate the weekend, the Saturday and the Sunday.
What's that? The
the
transfer
tra-
station.
yeah.
Nothing changes at the transfer station.
Nothing changes.
And what I understand, nothing changes in terms of charges, either fees and charges are Oklahoma District Council. The Evolve Ventures have a contract to run the transfer station, and they have a contract to collect recycling. The addition is the rubbish bags, okay? I know it sounds strange, but it's a private service at that point, okay? But you don't have to use them for that. You can take your rubbish in a bag up to the tip. So that's an extra service at that site, and the contract is for recycling. And it's a significant contract. It's a 7-year contract, and it's been, I understand, mainly negotiated by Waitomo District Council.
It's between both councils.
Yeah. And it's a $10 million contract over 7 years, and it really is. Yeah, I don't think it should have started off on cutting the service. I understand there's significant reduction in the contract cost, which is unusual given the current circumstances, but now we've got a reduction in service. And board member, you mentioned workers' rights, you know. Yes, the workers that are currently working on the contract have been offered positions with Evolve, with the new contractor, but it's nowhere near the current.
So could I add through you, Chair, just a couple of points of clarification maybe. So just be a bit cautious. We're talking about
Absolutely
for the arrangement in a public forum, so you've got to be cautious on that. So I just want to clarify that it's correct that the change is that the rubbish pickups, the bag pickups will be on Mondays except for public holidays, when the collection will be on Wednesday. If you want to recommend Mondays, then there will be a price adjustment if the contractors agree to that, because then they'll have to pay whānau to work on the Mondays. So what you've got at the moment actually benefits the workers of the contract because they're not working on public holidays.
They get paid to work it now.
Well, I don't know,
They are.
but you're asking them in your recommendation to come back and work on public holidays, and that will come with additional costs, as long as you're aware of that.
Well, it can't be additional because we're paying it now. They're going to be additional when we're already paying for the cost.
So the contract at the moment is working on them not working on.
Oh, so that's how he's cut the
If
price.
they come back and work on public holidays, then there'll be a price adjustment.
So we've got a cut in service, but not a cut.
I don't know, I can't clarify, I don't know if there's been a cut in service.
This, we're not going to collect the sector holidays. I think, just through your chair, but you talk about cutting service, you're still going to get your rubbish picked up weekly. That's probably what's in the contract. I haven't actually seen the contract in that detail. That's operational. I'm a little bit with it. I think people deserve a public holiday. People who earned that holiday years ago, you know, and we're benefiting from having a holiday. And the thing is, you say they get paid, well, they do get a day off and learn, right? So it's kind of, when we have run a business that has to work on public holiday, and there's always people that it's hard to find because they want to be with their families, they want to go fishing, they want to do stuff. So I'm kind of not really. I don't even think supermarkets should be open. You know, it's our social fabric is being upset by people having to work on weekends and public holidays. So it's kind of a camp moment. So, and the level of service is still there because they're still giving you a weekly rubbish collection. But everyone gets to have that. Everyone else gets to enjoy a day off. And apart from that, obviously, if you're a doctor or a hospital, that's kind of my thinking. But if you want to have a specific and rearrange the contract, which would be cash. I don't know if we'd have to have the whole weekend, if we'd have to have the free contract, and it will be a cost increase. Well, that's in our decision. I can't see why, because has there been a decrease in our annual targeted refuse rates? We're paying $440 a year now to have our rubbish picked up. So has that been reduced because I've reduced the service?
I can't comment on that, but I'll come back to the comment that you made earlier that the rubbish bags are user based. So that's not, I understand, it's not direct subsidised, it's user based for bags. So you mentioned that as private.
Yes.
So that really hasn't changed, I think is what we say around the fees and fees.
Well, I'm only speaking for the communities here on this one, so I'll speak for the communities. We, as Richard, board member Harper said, we haven't had anyone here that thinks it's a great idea for the batch owners to leave on Sunday night or Monday and leave their rubbish out until Wednesday. Not a good idea. Because community dogs attack it. You get a gale over here in Kāwhia and they are tear a litter with recycling until Wednesday. The locals in Kāwhia would, the time, I can't recall when it was, but I can recall collecting bloody windblown rubbish. It was a while back. There is some confusion about when it changed to permanent Mondays. I won't argue that and I won't dispute that. But what we've got a situation, we've got a service that is working well for both communities. We're going to lose that service. It's going to go on 7 to 8 days a year, which is 20% of the year, is going to be collected on a Wednesday. And when the batch owners go home, they put the yellow, the green, whatever colour bags out with their recycling, and they go home and forget about it. And the residents have got the result. Okay, I don't have a public interest in this. Sorry, a personal interest in it. I don't worry about it. I live in Aotea. I can put my rubbish bag out on a Wednesday. Okay? What I don't want to do is everyone else puts their rubbish bag out on a Monday and I have to clean the mess up. It really is as simple as that. But in saying all that, there might not be an issue because in the Ōtauranga District Council website, when there's a frequently asked question about what do you do with your yellow bags that you've left over, the response was ring environs. So I contacted environs and I got a reply back from them today. They're going to carry on continuing collecting yellow bags on Monday. Okay, so you can still leave your yellow bags out and they'll collect them. So it's just a private company fighting with a private company. So it might not be an issue. Environs continue that service. Great. You know, Evolve can come on a Monday and pick up recycling.
So who's paying them? Who's paying them?
We are.
User pays.
User pays for the bags.
Oh, of course, sorry.
Right. So it might be a new point.
So the savings that this new contract is allegedly made, through you, Mr. Chairman, can I ask Graham, have you got any idea what the effect on the refuse rate would be for 26-27? It's currently about 440, 450.
446.
Yeah, like, it's only just, you know, I wouldn't want to go on the record in a minute.
We don't know, but
Like a lot of it is around the number of residents that it's divided over. This is targeted rates, so because these residents are really contractors to say, it's going to be more profit. This is a combined.
I understood that when I looked at it. Ōtauranga pays $196 a household. We pay $442. I understand that was a kind of scale, but still, I thought, well, if we're saving money by not having the service, we might get our $442 reduced as well. And that might not be so bad then when you put it up by $20,000 to go back to Monday. So you can cut 20 grand off it and put it back.
For you, Mr. Chair, I think it just comes down to education as well, like with anything to do with change. I remember years ago we had the rubbish collection on a Monday, but if the holiday was on a Monday, it would come on the Tuesday, and that worked really well. People were educated that that's what happened, and then we had to educate ourselves again that it was Monday was every day for rubbish days. So I think if there is a change, it just comes down to education and awareness, and people to start taking more, you know, on what they need to do as well. I'm just saying.
No, fine.
That's just,
I'm only speaking.
like we're not babysitters for everybody.
I'm only speaking.
I'm just saying that that's, just comes to education again on a change. I think staying the same is not healthy. To me, I think change is good as well. Instead of staying the same, change can be good as well. But you have to think that way, oh, this is a good thing, not a bad thing. That's all. But I'm kind of seeing like this, Jeff. Yeah, I won't. At the moment, I'm not.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's why we have a discussion, and we
Yeah.
all have different points of view. As I say, I don't have a personal interest.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. And I'll put mine out on Wednesday. you know, but I'll also be the one walking the streets of Aotearoa and figuring out. But I'll do that for the community.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It comes down to education again, for people to take responsibility on what needs to be done in their household.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm just, we had a Aotearoa Ratepayers AGM.
Talk to your neighbour.
Yeah, we had an Aotearoa Ratepayers AGM on Sunday, and it was a unanimous decision to oppose the change.
Yeah,
So that
I can
they're
answer
asking.
I can answer why they say that, but I won't. Kia ora. It's okay. No, it's all right.
So I think, sorry, I may have been misunderstood before. The reason I asked Graham about the rate for 26-27 was that if there is to be a supposedly a reduction in service, then one would reasonably expect to see a reduction in the rate. Would you not?
So I am thinking, and I can't clarify this, we do have Maka Needham, but my understanding is that's not for the bag collection. The bag collection is user pays. And so that's funded through user pays, and the rate goes towards the act of recycling and the dumps. So that's what that money goes to, not to the bag collection. I may be wrong on that. That's my understanding.
But we're still going to be purchasing the red bags, I gather.
I can see.
So that side of it's taken care of. So where's the saving happening? Is it simply because we're not paying these people now to work on a Monday?
I wasn't involved in the contract. I don't think it's probably appropriate to talk about the contract in this one.
Right.
We can come back potentially through the chair if we can provide more information around that. But probably we get into contractual discussion.
Well, I think, yeah, it's just a shame we're not having this conversation until the contract is let. Because I think the board would appreciate the opportunity and have some input.
Yeah, so if I could just clarify, so the contract process that we've got is that our procurement policy and procurement process that comes with it. And it's based on the value of the contract, and that comes back to council if it's appropriate at the value for the council to consider that. If it's not needing to go back to council, then it's a staff decision under a pen. Panel assesses the contracts and then the rules. So these are procurement processes followed in this space. The board would have no involvement in that. Typically.
Yeah, I understand that, Tony, but, you know, it's ignoring the fact, and I know we're getting off the subject here, but it's ignoring the fact that the people who actually paying for this are not having any say in it. That's the point I'm trying to make. So,
I've had to do a lot of explaining over the last month, you know, and so now I can say I've done the best. If the motion fails, that's fine. If the motion succeeds, then it passes on to council and it's for them to make a decision. And I'm okay with that process, but at least we've got a process that we didn't have before. You know? If it comes down to, you know, there's a certain level at which staff can make a decision on the services provided. That's, yeah, I can understand that. You don't want to be bothered with bloody, you know, all the rats and mice as councillors, but imagine if the staff could save a heap of money by only doing it once a fortnight instead of once a week. That would save a massive amount of money. You'd expect that to be far away. So there's some basis there.
Through your chair, we've marked Lewis online. Just want to remind you that you were all involved in the workshops on the waste of those who were on council and boards before we made the decision. We ran workshops to determine what was important in the waste contract. So Mark can maybe answer some questions around that. And certainly if it wasn't boards, then your representatives were involved. And so one of them is still here. So yeah, we did talk about things that were important to the community at those workshops, but Mark will be able to answer some specific questions. Can you hear us, Mark? Hopefully you can hear.
Yes, yes, I can. Yep.
Can you hear Mark?
Yep.
Yep. I'll just make sure I've turned off my other live stream. Yeah. Is that all right? Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
You've been listening to the discussion?
Yes, I have. And there's probably a couple of things that need some clarity in there. I'll probably start with the collection days. Now, collection days, as board member Hinga mentioned before, used to be if Monday fell on a public holiday, it always got moved to an alternative day, and it coincidentally happened on the following day. So as far as the levels of service, that hasn't changed in this contract. What did happen is during the COVID years, we ended up with a collection on Mondays that's become the norm rather than the rule of the contract. So, and that's probably been going on for upwards of 6 years now. So that's probably one clarification. So the collection will continue on Mondays, except for public holidays. So I hope that clarifies that. The other thing.
It's sort of just to follow on from that, because Councillor Jeffries has been asking, because there's a reduction in the service because they're not picking up on the public holidays, surely there's a reduction in the rates, but there isn't, because the rates were set with the previous contract, and the contractor just decided to start picking up on the Monday if it fell on a public holiday. Is that right?
Exactly. There was no variation to the contract for that.
Yeah.
And the rates, as I understand it, will for the 26-27, the proposed rates is based on the level of service of not collecting on public holidays. So you won't see a reduction on the early proposed figures now. What you would do if we do, or if council decides to move back to collecting on a public holiday, you will see an increase in the rates or the rates or the costs. So I suppose you're looking at it from a point of view, we should see a discount. Well, it's actually the inverse. You will see an increase if we return to a Monday pickup, because it was never part of the original contract. So I hope that clarifies that too. And just one other point, around the bag cost, there is a rate to the collection of the bags. There's a fixed rate that sits within the contract, but it's also a balanced rate around a user pays and a district rate. So obviously there's a cost to the bag, and you need to strike a really careful balance between the people that use a lot of or dispose of a lot of refuse should pay additional through the cost of the bag, as opposed to people that may only put one bag out every fortnight. But you still have to pay that fixed cost to do the curbside work. So it's a balance between user pays and district funding or community funding, I should say. So just to clarify that.
Question mark, if there is a fixed fee per bag, how do they determine how to pay them? They don't really know how many bags are collected. Is it just they allow X amount of bags a year?
Yeah, and I think that's a risk that's carried by the contractor. That's why there's a fixed cost, and they have to, I suppose, put a industry assessment as to what the norms might be over a population or 1,500 households. They probably work on a percentile rate of, we might get 80% of those bags weekly, we might get 75. I don't know how they work that out, but we still have to run the trucks around the streets whether there's bags out or not. So there has to be a fixed cost there. And then it's offset by the bags. It's a balance between user pays and not. It's like, I suppose, to put it into a good bit of context, it's like the fixed charge you get on your water meter and your volumetric charges. You have to balance the two. So I hope that makes a bit more sense.
It does make sense, but I understand that. But certainly I'll still struggle to see how we're losing a service and have to pay to get it back. That's my big struggle. And I yes, I don't know when the change came about. I've been living in Aotea now for 9 years, and I can't recall in the time I've been living there when there was not a collection of statutory holidays. That's okay. That must be lost in the midst of time. I'm not going to get caught in the sand on that one. But if the motion doesn't pass the board, then fine. So, is there any questions of Mark?
I just had one, Mark, that I'm just, this issue about the yellow bags still being picked up, and then this other contractor having these red bags, and then you talked about, like, who is, surely it's not economical for someone who hasn't got the contract just to drive around Kāwhia picking up yellow bags. I don't understand that, to be quite frank with you. I just, it seems pie in the sky stuff, you know?
I suppose someone's made a business decision to do it. Not us.
And that is the advice I got from Environs this morning. They are going to continue the yellow bag.
Yeah, we know about
I
that.
don't know whether are they going to do it in Oklahoma.
So can I just, so Enviro, whatever, with the yellow bags, they have not got the contract now.
Lost it.
Or not, they're gonna, with the new company with the red bags.
Is it different?
If I can speak
I'm
through
struggling
you,
with this concept of someone driving around picking up yellow bags, and, you know, like, you could have one person staying in Kāwhia buying 100 yellow bags for the next 100 weeks. Seems just weird.
Yeah,
That's a business decision. So that's it. It's not even.
Yeah, you can probably find that they're going to try and do it as a service, I suppose, and then they'll try and, you know,
Yeah, from my
they'll
understanding.
sell you a skipping or something, and then they'll do it, make it, you know, do your own private run, just like there's plenty of other people that do.
That's just right. And they're considering introducing wheelie bins as well. The little 100-litre ones. I don't know.
I do acknowledge the good point that Hingham made. Education. So,
to you, Mr. Chair, just picking up on the education, also what we're trying to do is to cut down on landfill. So we're encouraging, because I know this new outfit is going to be introducing another bin for glass. So there's going to be glass, plastics and paper. But like, you know, we're always trying to cut down on landfill, so we don't have a lot of bags being put out. That's, you know, that's my way of thinking. I remember years ago we did extreme waste. So it's just that it comes down to education again. Let's recycle more of what we have instead of putting it in a landfill, which will cut down bags. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with you. When you look at the Oklahoma District Council's website on refuse and recycling, apparently 95% of all everything collected in the district is recycled. There's only, out of all the, you know, I don't know, I can't remember the tonnage, but only 5% of the tonnage collected each year goes to landfill. So we don't okay anyway. If that's figures right, 95%, 94% recycled. I've asked the question. I asked that question. I've asked the question twice. I know. I asked the question twice.
We have, you know, funded a new part-time waste minimisation officer, and yeah, she's doing
Jane?
amazing.
Yeah, Jane answered.
And she's doing workshops all around the district, you know, on how to reuse and recycle. So it's having a really positive impact.
The education right there.
Yeah.
It's working. If the figures are right, that's for sure. Any other questions, board members?
Well,
No?
No, that's clarified.
Well, the motion's put, there's no amendment to the motion, so we'll have a vote on today. Kāwhia Community Board requests that refuse and recycling collection days for Kāwhia and Aotea, and I'd like a show of hands on this so we don't have mumbles in it. For Kāwhia and Aotea remain on Monday, including when Monday is a public holiday. All those in favour? 2. All those against? 3. There we go. Motion fails. Would you like your negative vote recorded? Would you like your no vote recorded?
No.
Okay. Would you like your positive vote recorded?
Through the chair. Through the chair's full.
I hate to see that I'm against workers' rights.
Through the chair, full mark, please. Next item relates to public
Well, it was a good discussion, Jeffrey.
Oh, healthy discussion.
I'm wondering if you'd like Mark to stay on in case there's any questions around public transport for the next item.
Yeah, is that okay? Yeah. Now, moving on to the next motion, which is motion number 2, councillor Chris Jeffries is to provide.
The public excluded, you need to get public excluded.
Okay, I'm just going to, so, but for this item, the public will be excluded.
So you need
No.
to, you need.
So now I've got a
you
little,
need to move a motion to go into public.
yeah, I've got a little speaking sheet here. What is? This connection. This connection is speaking.
So here's move a motion to go into public excluded. And then, vote.
One, had it read it. I'll move. Hang on, just bring it up again. Sorry, I've lost connection. Lost connection to it. No. Don't access it, so.
All right, we can't.
Well, one cleaning up. One cleaning up for me. Only good. Come on. You're gonna make it come on.
So. So that was a company. And then the two moves the public.
Oh, okay, yeah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, well, we've gone down offline, so I can't read out what I need to read out to make the public excluded legal. So rather than wing something, governance, everyone's gone offline. And in that online was how I said the legal thing, because public excluded. Okay, so we're going to move on to that. We'll move past that second motion according to my expert there. And moving on to board members' updates.
Okay.
Okay, so we.
Yeah, and then we'll try and get ourselves online, and then I can do something properly. And then the public can leave. Choose to. Back online, okay? So board members' updates.
Started here?
You certainly
Thank
can.
you, Chairman, thank you. So, there's some really good things happening in our community. Today, we have a group of strengthening and balance exercise group for anybody, and we meet every Thursdays. There's about 15 of us, and a positive cordial came back from one of the local residents, or two actually, said that they really impressed with the grounds of the Omumuti Park, how it's clean and tidy and the mowing and all that, and really happy with the outcome with the bollards that have been replaced to the other end. And they're really, really happy with that as well. Now they can see that somebody be swimming, and it's not a health and safety issue. Also, there's been some really good cordial about the Kaumātua group that meets every Mondays. Tomorrow, there's mental health. No, it is not tomorrow. It's on the 19th of this month. Is a mental health first aid training. So that's free this month. Every day, the Kāwhia High Water Exercise Group meet every day here. And just balance, yep. Maniapoto Pack Trust from Tikwiti, they come every 6 weeks to do a foot and feet massage at the Whare Oroha at the Methodist Church up there. So that's free. So that's really great. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints provide lunch every third Fridays, meet at 11 o'clock, meet and greet. And that's about it. That's happening in our beautiful community.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
O tēnā tātou katoa, a tēnā koe ane mo tō kōrero. The tuatahi mihi atu ki a koe te kura matua me koe Joe. The tūmi whakarai Tanya, tēnā koutou katoa, o tēnā tātou katoa. The tuarua e mihi atu ki nā mate ko wehi atu ki te pō, o ke uhi atu rātou. We've had quite a few mate in Kāwhia, ones that have passed away, some of our kaumātua, so I'm just acknowledging the ones that have passed away, especially Auntie Nancy Awhitu, who was from Okapu Marae, but also involved in our community. So, you know, we miss our oldies because there's very few, but always acknowledge them for what they have taught us in the past to where we are now. So I just like to acknowledge them. I've only just got one kaupapa that's coming up, and that's for the Matariki Kaumātua Ball, which is, I'm busy organising that at the moment, which a lot of our marae are involved within Kāwhia Moana, right over to Taharua, over to here. And that's happening on the 19th of June at Clawlands this year. So it's a time for us to celebrate. I'm wearing my Waikato Tainui hat on. It's a time for us to celebrate our whānau, our kaumātua, who work behind the scenes on our marae. And it's a time for us to acknowledge them and to thank them for what they do throughout the year. Our marae are very busy with tangihanga, with huruko whatu, and also with other joyous kaupapa as well. But not forgetting that our kaumātua who work tirelessly in the front or at the back. So it's a time for us to acknowledge them. So that's our Matariki Kaumātua Ball. There's only one that I just wanted to bring up here. There's other kaupapa, but that's the main one at the moment. I did want to put a motion forward for the speed bumps. Do I do that now? Or
No, leave it.
Okay.
Next week.
Nō reira, tēnā tātou.
Board Member Harper, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, good. The community, I've been a bit of time with the community hub, and they are still trying to establish a free travel service out of Kāwhia for the whole community. I attended the Kapahaka exhibition up at the school, which was just fantastic, really. It was really good. That was Hamilton Boys High, was it? Or
Yeah.
Hamilton High?
Boys
Yeah.
and girls.
And I'm getting lots of queries of the regarding the beach access issue. There seems to be a bit of misunderstanding out in the community. The workshop I attended was run well, and I thought there were some really good questions were raised and genuine concerns. Local body reforms, excellent work with the website on all the information going out. I still see there's no comment about the future of community boards amongst it all. I do know that in 1989 at the reforms, Kāwhia did get a special mention. So I just hope that that mention's still relevant. I haven't heard much about the Kai Fest. I haven't been to a meeting with the Kai Fest, but I know their AGM is coming up. Then the sports club, I've been talking to Judy. The sports club AGM is on later this month. But you can see that building progress up there is looking pretty damn good. So it looks like it's all going ahead. The frame's going up. So I think that Dave and Judy are putting in a fair bit of good work there for the community. It's a brand new facility. And I've been working on some quotes for the community, for the hub, as far as their raised gardens are going. It's interesting. Got one reply to a quote and took another quote to a large business in Tiamuta and got no response at all. So it was really interesting. In talking of quotes, when we do the kitchen thing, I hope we're able to approach the appliance store in Oklahoma as a local supplier. I hope we're able to apply to, you know, if we're going to see quotes, that we should give them an opportunity to have a shot at it as well. Phone stands a work in progress. The post that I think looks really nice. It's all been water blasted and cleaned up and all the rest of it. Still leaning up against my fence, waiting for some people to come up and say, yeah, that looks like it's going to be okay, or no, you can use that for firewood. So, but it's a nice looking post. It's got some character, but we'll see it is. And I understand, don't know whether it's contradictory to what you just said there, Annie, but the hub is running a suicide prevention workshop at Makatu Marae tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So just so people are aware of that. So that's my board roundup.
You've been busy.
Oh, not really.
Councillor Jeffrey.
Not as busy as some would like.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, mine's very brief. Yeah, I went along to the school, for that Kāwhia, Hamilton boys and the Hamilton girls colleges of there. There's about 50 or 60, teenage, and by Jove, they were good. It's not very often I sort of get that sort of prickle feeling going up the spine, but, and then the best part, of course, is when they called our Tamariki out to join them, and they all got together and did it. And that was it was great. So that was very, very successful. And I think they're quite keen to come back again and do it next year. So, on the 8th of May, I attended a Tiharoa Rural Water Supply meeting. And the Tiharoa Water Supply is one of the few supplies that we, correct me if I'm wrong, Rodney or Tony, is still supplying water for drinking. Is that correct?
I'd need to check it now.
Yeah. Arahena, one of the other ones, has gone simply to just producing water for stock. So I gather that Tiharoa will come across as part of the transfer to the Waikato Waters 1 July next year. There was some discussion about who actually owns it. So I think that's still to be, there's a bit of, excuse the pun, a bit of water to go under the bridge there on that one. On the 11th of May, myself and Rodney and Katrina and Joe, I think we went to a CDM meeting in Hamilton.
Yeah.
And Tony was there too. And that was very interesting. And I think one of the things that came out of that for me was there was a helicopter pilot there by the name of John Fennell, who operates out of Taupo, and he is still feeling quite bitter about the fact that they stopped him from going out to White Island.
He's a miracle.
Yeah, he believed that that there was a window of opportunity for him to get his helicopter out there and save some people, and he was stopped from doing that, and he's still carrying that with him. So that was one of the things that came out of that meeting for me. But it was a useful meeting and a good opportunity to workshop and meet a few other councillors from other councils. On the 12th of May, we had a presentation from the Office of the Auditor General, and our auditor, Deloitte, was also present. The subject of audit fees was pretty high on the list of discussion there. You may or may not be aware, but it's currently council. It's costing council around about $250,000 a year to have its annual report and so on done by the auditors. And I think there's a general movement, local government nationally, pushing back on these costs. Be interesting to see whether it all ends up actually. So that was that. And then on the 19th of May, I went in. We had a combined hui with Watomo about the amalgamation or merger with potential merger with Watomo, and there's a proposal being sent off to the Department of Internal Affairs about that, and we just have to wait and see now to see whether that'll be acceptable or not. There is some school of thought that it may not be big enough for them, and we may be forced into a situation where we have to either take in part of our southern neighbours or part of our northern neighbours, or both. But who knows? That's still on the table, that one. And that's pretty much it for me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Very good. Because we didn't have a meeting in May, I appreciate that we've got some quite long board reports here because there's 2 months of bits and pieces to catch up with. But yeah, so April the 9th, we had the beach stakeholders meeting, sorry, the meeting for all stakeholders involved in the beach access. Well attended and well attended by all parties where the decision will be effective. Okay? That's moved on to the stage where there will be mana whenua consultation and consultation with mana whenua and landowners. So that's the stage that's sitting at the moment. Okay? 23rd April with the chair training with fellow chairman there. We learned some good stuff there, didn't we? That was chair training organised by Otaronga District Council. It was held at Waipā District Council workshop, senior officers. 25th, Anzac Day services. And I'd just like to say thank you to Otaronga staff and who helped organise that day. Kāwhia, you were there, Day, out on the corner there, and just Otaronga District Council for supporting that event through the traffic management and bits and pieces. And I understand from your letter, Rodney, was it Litromax?
Yeah, they donated.
They donated, yeah.
The rings.
No, they donated the traffic management.
All traffic management, really, eh?
Nice.
Oh, why? Because I thought it was across to Otaronga District Council, so that's great news. And just like to officially thank Teresa and her crew that put that on. It's getting better and better each year, getting a lot more, it's getting more formal and more organised and well attended. And also the little Aotea sunset service that happens over there in the afternoon. They haven't invited too much in hospitality at the pub. And that's gaining some legs over there too. We had well over 100 attending that this year. Then moving into May, we had KCB. We had KCB workshop. Because there was not a lot to discuss at the KCB meeting. We had a workshop in its place, and I think we all agreed that was a pretty informative workshop. We had a fair list of things to do come out of that, but it's good to give us all a focus, and we'll have to talk a bit more about that in the workshop afterwards. But there was, things mentioned, good stuff. Mentioned, okay? And it was good to actually have the formal situation that we could handle that. And then in May there was another elected members workshop in Otaronga. And the Aotea Ratepayer Society AGM was held last Sunday, and the full board re-elected. And that's about it for me.
Good.
Thank you very much. Board projects. Have you got Frank online?
No, Frank has given his apologies, put a note there beside you.
Okay.
He had,
We can discuss this at we can discuss it at the workshop.
apologies.
Yeah, that's good. We can discuss it at the workshop, okay? We can move. Board priority, that's a new one. Okay.
I'll just sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. The board out here, I mentioned it at the last week, that we have rewritten that again.
Oh, good.
So, the macrons to keep the town consistent. I actually got my daughter to work on it, because she's a real speaker. So what I'll do is I'll email it out to the board for you to have a look at.
Is there progress with the narratives and locations?
No, I'm just talking about the board.
Yeah, I understand that, but with the other ones.
Yes, Frank was going to get the update, but he's given his apologies.
Sweet. Okay, so we don't need to talk about that.
No.
Board priorities,
So you're going to come back to us, or you do this?
Okay.
So what I was going to suggest is, if you want to defer those into after public school, that's fine.
Yeah.
I was just reminding, Guy reminded me that you do get $2,963 in your discretionary fund.
Yeah.
Which you will lose it at the end of June, and you'll get a new allocation. So you may need to think about if you would like to allocate some or all of that to your board projects or board priorities.
So that rolls.
No, it's supposed to roll.
That's roll.
You'll need to request that if you want it roll.
That was last year.
Can we do that?
It doesn't roll automatically.
You need to request that as a carrier.
It's not automatic.
Oh, okay.
So we request that.
Yes. Well, that's what I have to do.
Do we?
Put it in the minutes.
Well, I'll move, yeah, I'm, that's sort of,
I'll jump ahead a little bit, but maybe if you get to that item.
okay, we'll get to that item.
You want me to try his now, I'll come back to that.
I'll come back to them, that's all. Moving on to page 34, that's just an brief outlining of the Kāwhia General Reserve Fund. That's our standard update on what we're doing there. Bearing in mind that there's $205,000 in there, and you can read the criteria of what we need to do if we want to spend that, okay? Kāwhia Community Board Discretionary Fund. That's an update on what has been outlaid so far for the Kāwhia Community Board Discretionary Fund, and we've got a balance of $2,963, which we will request shortly now for that to roll over.
Well, you're on that item now, so just before you do, bearing in mind that you had some kitchen whiteware that you like to purchase, that would purchase some of those items. I suggest maybe 2 of those items if you want to use those. Would you have some other budget for it? But if you wanted to use this budget, it's a good one. And you could utilise it.
So do we request that to roll over now, or?
You're on that item now, so you can request.
So it's not a motion or anything like that, is it? We just requested it.
Just before,
We do like a general carryover, report about ethics, so we just included that, but if you have a formal recommendation to say that we would like to carry over discretionary fund until 26-27 year. And then it's just, we will have that there, we can move that in.
Right. We'll just formally, because then we'll just say that the Kāwhia Community Board formally requests that whatever remaining is in the Kāwhia Community Board Discretionary Fund rolls over to 26-27. That's what we need. All those in favour?
Yeah. Aye.
Carried. Fine. Seconded?
Yes.
Yeah. Done.
This is a matter of interest. What happens to it if it doesn't roll over? What happens to it if it doesn't roll over? It's out of interest.
Just rub it in.
If you don't roll it over, it just it still sits there, Councillor Jeffries, but it just sits in the balance, in the community account balance that carries forward each year. But I think if you do roll it over, then it sits in that budget, which is a good, it still stays within Kāwhia, but it's there as discretionary fund for the board place, so that it doesn't.
It's always there. That before it's disappearing. So it's good that we've called off that option to roll it. So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
We didn't. The one 2 years ago we were spending it for the sake of it, rather because we didn't want to lose it. So I thought that was a logical. Nothing wrong with saving up for the mortgage. Now moving on to page 35 now. Kāwhia Community Centre high charge waivers, the standard stuff, but moving down to existing waivers, you see item line A, Operation Kāwhia Kai for All. Unfortunately, Annie has had to establish that your Kai operation there, and so I'll request that the free of waiver, the waiver charge for the Kāwhia Kai Operation for All, Operation Kāwhia Kai for All, is removed.
Just on that note, for you, Mr. Chair, the exercise group, the strength and imbalance group today asks if they can use the hall on a Wednesday.
Which one's that? Well, they just have to apply.
Just apply.
Well, they just put an application in for us. We can.
The other consideration here through each year, so this is for the 25-26 year, because we're moving to 26-27 year. I need to check with the client, but I suspect you probably need to move a recommendation to have these waivers to the next.
Strength and balance.
Would that be correct?
Exercise.
We're going to bring a report or a request for that at the next meeting.
Because we just removed Rolly Cleveland, didn't we? Yeah. Yes, a couple of meetings ago. Yeah. But your booking space is gone anyway, so this is just a formality. Yeah. No request for hall hire charge. If there is a request, board member for additional use, we'll get them to put just a formal letter in requesting that, and that can be on the next agenda, okay? Resolution register, we've tidied up our resolution register, that's good. Okay. We now normally move to closing the meeting, but we won't because, so that the public don't have to come back after the public excluded. I have found the words to,
Are you going to do it? I'll let you do.
no, we've still got a motion to discuss.
Okay, I just thought that one, the couple I wanted to bring up,
What's that for?
for the speed bump.
Oh, no, that's an our workshop.
Is it an average?
Yep, absolutely.
But I thought that if we wanted anything done, we had to put it as a, we don't, it's a motion.
So I can probably clarify that. So the speed bump is on in the council work program to be made.
Okay,
It's on there. And our roadie manager is talking with Jeff, I think, around which one gets removed and
Okay.
when it might be replaced.
cool. I just wanted to bring up also, through you, Mr. Chair, because there's no signs down Waiweta Street saying the speed limit. If we could look at that as well.
Save that to the workshop, okay?
At the workshop, so
Yeah.
is the workshop happening
Yep,
inside?
yep, to the-
Been a long day.
Yeah, it's long. No, well,
They haven't finished yet.
it hasn't finished yet. Now, I'm sorry about this, all you hard listening people.
I've been sitting here right from the beginning.
Item 6 is the resolution to exclude the public from item public exclusion 1. And the staff recommendation that the Kāwhia Community Board exclude the public from the following parts of the proceedings for this meeting, confirming A, this resolution is made in reliance on section 48 brackets 1 brackets A of the Local Government Official Information of the Meeting Act 1996 and the particular interest or interest protected by section 7 of the Act where a risk of prejudice is minimised by the holding of the whole of the relevant part. I take it as read. Yeah, take it as read. Oh, the public be excluded. Is there any
They
second?
may not be able to hear, Jeff. I don't think they can hear.
Yeah, no, that's a long thing, it's official. So if I can take it as read, yeah, I can read it as well. So anyway, I move that the public be excluded. It's not because it's secret stuff, it's just that it's some confidential financial information in the report that Councillor Jeffrey's presenting for public transport. That's all. Do I have a seconder? Oh, does this fail?
I can't, I guess, because I've got an interest there, right? I can do it. Yeah, well,
Second, Councillor Jeffrey, all those in favour?
Sure.
All those against? Passed.
excellent.
Fine. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attendance. Here we go.